Hello. Let's feel the thrill. I wanted to do a video today, and I didn't have a chance. So I'm waiting for my kid to get done with the thing. I figured I'd do it in my car. Anyways, who cares? I'm was thinking a lot about Werewolf the Apocalypse. This is gonna be about Werewolf the Apocalypse and if it and what it takes to make a good 4D game in Werewolf the Apocalypse. Now, I mentioned it on the game stream, but there's a lot of crosstalk, so I don't know who hears what. But I have this like serious medical condition where I think that every game I run is shit. Despite everyone, well, not everyone, right? But if people tell me it's good, people will tell me that my games are good, even though I think they're shit. Like almost all the time. Sounds a little bit pompous, because everyone fucking loves my games. But um, I like every time I GM, I always think, what the hell? That was such a garbage game. Anyways, it's not really the point. I got props from Shauner, so that's crazy. If he says you did a good job, probably not lying. And I fucking really appreciate it, by the way. Um, what's that dude's name? I see Shauner as fuck. What's the name of that dude? Well, that'll be a different video, I guess. But I'm a Shauner fan. I think that he's smart and hilarious. He's interesting. I don't like. I like it when people are interesting. That's what I like. I like people that have opinions. Uh, anyways, Werewolf the Apocalypse is what I want to talk about. So, Werewolf the Apocalypse, when I was running it for those guys, and I mentioned this in the stream, they had a lot of mistakes that were werewolf related. And it kind of broke my brain anytime they'd say something that was like off brand for werewolf. A lot of the abilities in werewolf are tied to the lore in werewolf. All their gifts are centered around spirits. You know, well, you have to learn from spirits. You don't necessarily have to know where a superpower comes from to use it, but there's just lots of different things that are going on that you have to know. You can't just kind of walk into a werewolf game and play it. And even though I say that, I know it's wrong. Because you could, because obviously people probably, and certainly me, the first time I played werewolf, my fucking storyteller didn't know what was going on. And I didn't know what was going on. We had a game, and it was like one of the most memorable games of my life. So it's probably not true. But this all goes back into the idea that Mr. Max put out. I hope I'm not tangenting all over the place. Goes back to the idea that Max put out, where like setting is secondary uh, to the game, right? And I think I just have this. I've played a lot of World of Darkness, and I fucking love Werewolf the Apocalypse so much. I love that setting. I love everything about it. Obviously, not everything. Well, I'm not a big, you know, I don't want to get into like ecological conservation anyways, I love that game. I love how it's kind of like this big meta plot that centers around kind of like the return to nature, return to the natural self. That's interesting to me. And I don't want to play a game where of werewolf where the lore is irrelevant. That's not interesting to me because werewolf kind of sucks. Like the systems, they're not great. Like by themselves, I think it's like a 2D GM's. It works as a 2G GM because I really like the attribute and ability system. So in White Wolf, you have like attributes and abilities, and then you add one attribute plus an ability, and that's your dice pool. And then you're rolling like anywhere from 1 to 10 dice, sometimes more. So I like the idea of making creative combinations of those things. That's like one of my favorite things about War of the Apocalypse. It's like, oh, make a stamina plus a cult roll. What? It's like, oh, we found a fancy situation where, I can make you do I don't know. Wits plus medicine. Ooh, interesting. Why isn't it intelligence plus medicine? I don't know. Because you have to think fast. There's a lot of things going on. You're in the middle of combat and you're doing first aid. That's a wits plus medicine roll, not an intelligence plus medicine roll. Like, that's kind of cool. The situation really kind of determines the dice pool, but what does that mean? So once we figure out the situation, the storyteller then says, okay, this is what you have to roll. And then the player goes, ooh, what a neat combination. I get to roll that? And then they roll it and they go, oh, let me count up all the successes I got. I don't know what difficulty it was, so you had to tell me the difficulty too. Let me count up all the successes I got. Oh, I have some ones. I got to take those out. So you're playing this little fun game with the dice. And yeah, the idea of 4D is you're taking out you're trimming the fat. You're trimming that flavorful fat right off of the game so that you can have I guess, a more cinematic pacing, you know? And White Wolf doesn't do that, but it's fun as shit for like a 2D style. And I'm not a 2D hater. I know, but I have decided for myself that it is not what I would classify as a role playing game, a 2D game. A 2D game is a hybrid board game, and you can role play in it. And you take breaks sometimes and roll dice and push minis around and think about distances and stuff like that. Roll initiatives. Use your bonus action. Werewolf has a lot of lore in it. You have to be, as Max called it, you have to know the encyclopedia of lore to run your setting. And everyone always says it when they don't know Werewolf. Why don't you just be someone coming in? Why don't you just be a new werewolf? New werewolves are like 13. You're a teenager. Why do I have to play a fucking tween? And I say that because You could be like, oh, what if I'm changing late? Okay, that's a trope in Werewolf. Werewolf players have seen that in almost every game, and it's maybe this is me, but like the meta of character concepts is don't fucking play a late change werewolf. Everyone fucking plays a late change werewolf. That's the meta. So, does any of that matter? No. Does anything matter? Does any of this shit actually matter to tell a compelling story? No. But it matters to tell a compelling Werewolf the Apocalypse story. I don't want to play Werewolf the Apocalypse unless it's fucking Werewolf the Apocalypse. I don't want to invent a werewolf setting. Werewolves aren't that interesting. World of Darkness made them interesting to me because they're, heroes of good, champions against evil, and they're like dealing with rage all the time. Now, that's 2 sentences of stuff I like. So the 4D side of me is like really 5 bullet points and you could run a real game. Probably. But the 2D side of me and the Werewolf the Apocalypse fan side of me wants to run a game where everyone has a complete understanding of the setting of Werewolf the Apocalypse. Because then we can play off of each other. We can talk about ancestor spirits. We can talk about pure breed. There's all these concepts that you can spawn in that you're not able to unless you know something about the game. And that really kind of solidified in my head when I was on the stream with Max last night talking about Bastard Sword, his upcoming game in development. And he was showing me all these he's showing me like a long list of advanced combat maneuvers. And we were going through the combat and it sounded so cool. Like it was like super cinematic, tied to the system. There's lots of different things you can do in it. But every single one of those, it was like 20 maneuvers. I'm probably lowballing it. Every single one of those maneuvers has its own rule, has its own role, has its own everything. Now, a 4D player going into that situation that doesn't have knowledge of the combat system is not going to provide as complete of a satisfactory experience probably for someone who is coming in that has that combat system down packed. It's like, oh, this person isn't doing the cool cinematic stuff you can do in this game. So it's kind of like that. I want to play a game where the setting, and this is Werewolf the Apocalypse. I have a love affair with Werewolf the Apocalypse, despite the fact, oh my god, never mind. And if I'm going to play a Werewolf the Apocalypse game, I want it to be with Werewolf the Apocalypse players. Every time I play that game, there's someone who doesn't know how to play. And it's fine in 2D because the storyteller, which is what they call them, which is a problem, that's a red flag. Sorry, it's getting dark out here. The storyteller has the chance to go out of character and give exposition. Like, oh yeah, because you're gonna be involved with spirits. I wish I had a better example because I'm wondering if I'm just saying all this stuff and it's not real. But there's a really deep lore, and I think the main thing I would do different is not have a theurge in the game. Theurges are so complex. They can be, anyways. And I gave Max a complex theurge. There's a point in the game where he's like cutting himself to try and get knowledge from a spirit in the physical world, and I'm like, some little punk spirit isn't gonna just materialize because you're cutting your hand. But I think this is a bit of an aside. I think that what I could have done is make that spirit bound to him. So he could have had like a spirit ally kind of bound to him, and he could have like tapped into that occasionally by summoning it. You know what I mean? I think that would have been actually really cool. It didn't even occur to me, so I didn't do it. But it's not my character. Why would it have to occur to me? Because it is my character. I made them all. Anyways, Don Rickles. Shauner is the Don Rickles of our hobby. I fucking love Don Rickles, but you probably shouldn't fuck with him. All right. I think that's all I got. I hope that was not rambling too bad, but I probably rambled. Fucking love you guys.